We begin this story by acknowledging that we are on the ancestral homelands of the Dakota people, for whom this land holds great historical, spiritual, and personal significance. We offer our respect to their elders, past and present.
These old houses are fantastic, and to have it repurposed and lived in again, it makes it living history instead of just a piece of history. And that's a big achievement for Little Bohemia and Historic St. Paul and everybody who's been involved.
The West 7th area of St. Paul is where the first urban neighborhoods of the city developed, with homes and commercial buildings dating back to the early 1850s. Residents in the neighborhoods bordering West 7th Street have long championed preserving the history of the area, including its original buildings, while also meeting the changing needs of the people living there. Historic St. Paul has been an important partner in this work over the past decade. The saving and renovation of the 1856 John and Annie Lewis house in the Little Bohemia neighborhood is a successful highlight and a model for what can be accomplished.
That first interaction with Historic St. Paul, where we walked through our neighborhood, surveying some of the houses that are here, opened our eyes about what it meant to be a part of this neighborhood and was a big part of motivating us to start a neighborhood association.
The city was talking about purchasing and maybe tearing down a lot of homes in the neighborhood, and it really helped our neighborhood build a vision of what we wanted to be and how we might come through the housing foreclosure crisis.
A lot of houses went into disrepair around here. A lot of the little houses were either just completely abandoned and torn down. You know, to look at it, even though in its dilapidated condition, you could tell it was an incredibly old house. We walk the dogs and keep an eye out on it, hope that something would turn around with it. And then one day, the streets got marked, and whenever the streets get marked, that's when they're marking for utilities for tear down. And went to the city website and found out there was a hearing on it.
Naomi ended up going to the hearing before the city, protesting, saying, this is something that we need to really take a look at. So that was the catalyst for getting the neighborhood really involved. The Federation, the Irvine Park Association, Little Bohemia, Historic St. Paul, the HPC all began to really take a look at this little house.
When you draw attention to yourselves like that, the city understands that people are paying attention and are organizing and are active. That's when they start listening to us and responding to the needs of the community.
There's so few of the small houses left. People think of a lot of the historic structures like the big houses on Summit, and that's a rarity. Most of us would have lived in the little homes. So much of the working class architecture is just, it's not appreciated, and it's let to go to ruin and demolished.
Those little bitty houses offer an opportunity for someone to own a home or stay in a home when they might not otherwise be able to, because it will be less expensive. And it's not easy to find anywhere except for these old neighborhoods.
Affordability and preservation are very compatible. And again, compared to some of the tear downs and McMansions that we see built where the prices get jacked up, the new construction in some ways is a mechanism to allow price gouging that preservation just isn't.
We didn't have coffee shops and tap rooms and some of the businesses that we have now, but that investment in our neighborhood and commitment by the community has also brought cool businesses that we can walk to and enjoy and that really serve the neighborhood.
This not only tells a story, but you also put down roots in the community. People are much more invested. We have safer neighborhoods then. So it all just grows from there. And the more that happens, the better the city will be.
Without an organization like Historic St. Paul to tackle a difficult project, that house would have been torn down and probably be a vacant lot today instead of a new home that a new family is inhabiting.
We live in a society where everybody wants to tear things down and rebuild new, and we're not focusing enough on what already exists and just making it better. And we need to embrace the wonderful structures we have to make them our own.
It was important for us to not only be part of the history, but also live in a community that cares enough about its history to put that foot forward, stop the wrecking ball, and make sure this house remains standing. That's the kind of city I want to live in.
Now people understand you can take this derelict, dilapidated structure, make the investments beyond a little TLC, using historic-minded renovation, and can turn it into something special.
Once we were able to step foot inside, see what the carpenters and the architects had done with it, it became pretty obvious that not only was this important as a symbol, but just to simply live in.
The real key to making this happen was the fact that Historic St. Paul really stepped up. They're really pretty amazing. This will be a great role model for other houses being saved.
Historic St. Paul has been doing community-based preservation work for over 20 years. If you appreciate this work and would like us to be able to continue, please consider making a donation. You can learn more about Historic St. Paul's work and make a contribution on our website, www.historicstpaul.org.